You know what I'm tired of? Ordinary snacks. And in fact, I'm going to forget about the ordinary snacks. T-Rex cookies are game changers, with each cookie weighing in at a whopping half pound, 7 inches. That's the perfect treat to fuel your energy while you cheer on the Wild. No dainty bites, just bold flavor. Make sure you check them out at XL Energy Center and enjoy the game with a T-Rex cookie.
This is Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast.
Did you guys see this? This is unbelievable. What is that all about, Kinger?
Get in here for the real thing. Like, let's get weird.
Maybe I blacked out trying to figure out what was going on.
Doubt, worry, fear, because that's what we're breaking the mold on here.
Welcome to Wild on 7th, presented by Pilot Games. We're here until it's here.
All right, welcome back to Wild on 7th, your favorite Wild podcast, as always presented by our friends at Pilot Games. When you're out enjoying your libations, make sure you grab one of their tablets, play their games, because when you do, Kinger, you know this, your community wins. Hey, listen, we got a little different podcast here today. We're going to have to get to a few things because it felt like, I don't know if it felt like this for you, Kinger, but it might have been the longest week of the year if you were a Wild fan. It ended on a high note, but it was a long week. At least it felt that way. A lot of emotions, a lot of anxiety, but we're back. How are you hanging in there?
I'm good. I felt the stress, I will say closed circuit to Brock Faber, though. He says everyone outside of the room was negative. We're not negative on this podcast. We are
you felt you
optimistic.
I was like,
I know, I think that was maybe a direct message to who was interviewing him, but I was like, Brock, man, we got you. We chose our hard too, man. We know how many games you've played. We know that you went to the Four Nations. We're still here. The light is on at the hotel. So, but no, what a difference a day can make. My level of stress cart's so high that I was troubled that they called the game the Showdown in St. Paul, because I was like, wait a minute, Showdown? The Dallas Stars are more cowboy than us. Like we're already like, they got 51% if it's a showdown. I couldn't even watch it. I threw Radio Joe on in the Megaboom speaker at Manitou playing some golf, and I was pumping my fist making the turn as Marco Rossi scored the game winner as we headed to 10. And everybody on the course too. Yesterday was nice out, and what's the score? So it was awesome. But I heard in the building it was like a playoff game.
That's what it looked like watching on television. I was watching from afar too, because it's another bone I have to pick with the club right now, because I've been calling a lot of these games, and then all of a sudden the national program comes in. They decide that they want to have these unbelievable games. They beat Wash, they beat Dallas. Like, I don't know if they're trying to teach me something right now a little bit, but the national games they win, and maybe that's us. Maybe we just need to step away for a little bit and say, hey, let the big boys take it. I don't know. How are you feeling about that? Did you notice? Has the group chat noticed that?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's throwing shade on you for, not being there for the big circle games on the calendar. But by the way, are you in Butler Cabin right now? Is that where you got to bring the listeners into this? This is a bucket list for a lot of people, but you have a lot of buckets. Maybe every year you have a bucket on your list.
Across the street from Butler Cabin, actually. Yep. So in Augusta, it's a quick trip because I've got the game against the San Jose Sharks on Wednesday. So in and out Monday, early practice round. Bad weather today. It's raining out. But I will say the azaleas are out. It looks good. I think it's going to be a great weekend. So I'm sneaking in. Was hoping to get a practice round or something in, but we'll see.
I think that's a great way to do it. I did that with the Winter Olympics a little bit. If you can go there early and then come home and like watch it on TV and hear the piano music and the Jim Nance, it's like I don't know. I think that's a good strategy. Like, get out there early.
Practice rounds are good too, because if you can get out on the course, there's a couple of rules. You can't have your phone on the course, but during practice rounds, you can bring a camera. So you can take like an old photo, like an old Nokia or something, take some photos, which is kind of cool to have. But then it's neat too, because you can watch the players, like they know where the pin placements are. They'll be with their caddies. and you can watch them hit into each green from a different spot, like where they want to hit the ball in the fairway. And then you can watch them like draw it in or fade it in. And it's a practice round's a way different way to kind of watch golf, but it's great because you can really see like how good these dudes are. And it's a little more intimate, like they're more laid back, they're chilled, they're hanging out. They'll drop 6 golf balls on the green. They'll all put them out and they'll, hit each other in the feet because it doesn't matter. They're just kind of getting like the pace and where they want to be figured out. So it's a little different, but the practice rounds, I actually enjoy them more. It's more fun. It's like more laid back.
Pimento and cheese, get some merch. Didn't you guys get tossed out of Augusta last year? Is that something in my memory bank? Didn't you have there was maybe a member of your group that didn't make the whole trip, or is that accurate?
Yeah, there was a member of the group that was asked to leave the pro shop.
Okay.
I think he bought one of everything there, and he needed help carrying it out. So, but once you're out, you're out.
Yeah, that's good. Well, good for you. Thanks for joining us today. Where do we want to start? Do we want to start with the rugged part of the ride, or do we want to just give some flowers about yesterday?
I think we got to work through it as we had to work through it. I wasn't worried at the start of the week you're going out east. You've got New Jersey twice, 2 games that are gettable. Then you've got the Rangers, Islanders. I think like you circle the Islander game, you're like, they've lost 6 in a row. You've got to beat them. The Rangers beatable this year. And even in that game, when you watch it, the Rangers were beatable. So it was kind of like, man, these points are slipping away. Like you're getting one. It was like feeling okay. But the pressure still started to mount, and then all of a sudden, it felt like it kind of came to a head in the Islander game. But it looked like the Wild were in a good spot, and nobody was going to catch them. I would have bet the house a week or 2 ago that the Wild are playing Vegas. They're locked in as the number 1 wild card, and they're playing Vegas, and that was it. But boy, St. Louis has decided they want to go 12 in a row? Is it now?
Crazy.
And it doesn't matter who they play. And Calgary seems like they're beating everybody right now, too. So things are all of a sudden super tight. And I don't know, man. I was anxious to start the week where I wasn't at any other point before.
Yeah, it felt like that Islander game was like laying on the floor of the bathroom, by the toilet. That was fetal position. These guys have worked so hard for so long, especially the guys that have been in the lineup all year, and there are a handful of them that we'll get to, but the scoring just wasn't coming. It was, and haunted. There's a Minnesota fan element to this, whether it's the injuries, the bounces in overtime, pucks going in off guys' feet, Chisholm scoring on herself. It was like, Brazzers in the zone. It was like you couldn't make it up. Even yesterday when Boldy blocks that shot, I'm in the golf cart, the wife's got her hands over her head like, Boldy's hurt. Boldy just got hurt. Middleton into the boards in just a horrifying play. I felt like the world was against us, and I know the players felt that way too based on some of the comments, but it was a rugged ride.
Were you watching the Islander game when Middleton went into the boards?
Yeah, I sat up I was like, oh God, oh God, because it was like the worst spot because he pushed him like far from the board, so he got to go head first into it. And Jake's such a good guy that it's almost like Uncle Jake is on the ice and he's not getting up. You love this guy, and he's tough. And then when Horvat was waving for the trainer right away, I'm like, oh no, did he break his collarbone? Did he separate his shoulder? Is he concussed? All of the above. And you're thinking we're already thin. This is the last thing we need. And yeah, that was a really, really scary play. It sounds like the feedback from the Wild is that he avoided a major injury and he's day-to-day. So I don't know if he dislocated his shoulder and they popped it back in like Lethal Weapon, or we'll have to ask Jake someday. But yeah, that was just so scary. Just as a human.
it is scary, like the whole sequence when the player that hits you instantly calls for the trainer. Then there's another camera shot, and Gus right away was calling for the trainer. And you can't really hear on the ice either, but or off the ice. But I'm sure he was. It sounded like he was hurting on the ice too, and he's like shaking a little bit. I don't know, man. I was like kind of scared and speechless in the booth all the way up there. But it's good to hear. I hadn't heard that he's avoided probably some major injury, so that's nice because it would have been like what else can go wrong? Like what else can go wrong?
Yeah, they're saying day to day, so I don't know exactly what that means, but I thought the way he skated off, I'm like, yeah, his season's done. So if that is not the case, that is very good news in a year where we haven't had a lot of it.
But I thought it was a good thing that he was able to like skate off on his own, and he's tough, man. It took him a bit, but he popped up and skated off. And I don't think he wanted help, but I think maybe he needed it a little bit. But
yeah, he had a little bit of the just been born deer look to him when he was skating back. But let's talk a little bit about yesterday because in a season when home games and home moments have been hard to come by, is there anything better than a Sunday matinee, all those families paying money to go to that game, hanging with this team as it's been a long ride, playing the team, our old nemesis, Dallas, our current nemesis, Ottinger, and, the team that took our team away once upon a time, and to get a straight-up W in that game, to outshoot them, to break open the piñata named Jake, and see the candy spilled all over the crease. I mean, what a great victory and a needed victory. It is funny sometimes. You think they're going to beat the Islanders, 2 days earlier, and they don't, and then they go beat Dallas, who's fighting for, first place in the Central. So, and Matt Boldy, I mean, a goal and 2 assists. The guy's played 78 games, every game. Marco Rossi, goal and an assist, 78 games. I just, when talk about load-bearing walls, Marco Rossi, Matt Boldy, thank you very much for stringing this season together. Awesome.
I think you're spot on, and I think we got to give Hines some credit here. So Marcus came back. What was the statement game where he went bananas? He had the Gordie Howe. Was that the Vegas game?
Yeah, he had a Gordie, and he put him on the line.
Or no, that was the first. Yeah, then he put him on the line. Maybe it was the first Jersey game. It was the first Jersey game. And then he put him on a line with them and said, all right, I think this is going to spark some stuff. And Hines, we've talked about it all year, how he's got unbelievable feel, like kind of knows. Yep. And Marcus hasn't been a top-line guy this year. So think about that. He's like, I'm going to put Marcus on alongside Rossi and Boldy right now, and it's probably going to change everything. And it really has. I think Marcus has been better. Marcus has been great. Boldy all of a sudden looks like he's 2 inches taller and 20 pounds heavier. He's got this patented move now where he protects the puck with a little 2 and 10, the Mohawk turn. And then he's got a defender on his back, and the next thing you know, he's making a pass across the crease or something like that, and the puck's in the back of the net. So he's played differently. And then I think Rossi was I think it was obvious he was fighting it a little bit, and maybe lost the hands, lost the confidence, but he got that garbage goal against the Rangers where he just kind of went to the net. And I think the hope is now that the floodgates open and those guys can pick up where they left off. Because, man, it was probably about halfway through the year where he was second to Jake Middleton on plus minus for the team. And I think he was somewhere around plus 20. You remember that?
Yep.
And it's slowly been a decline where I think he's been a dash player consistently, and now he's kind of even. So the game's kind of caught up to him a little bit. And he's still young, 78 games, played them all, credit to him. But I think the rigors of the NHL season have showed up a little bit, but he's fighting through it. And the hope is that maybe this confidence is carried on.
I think we got to name the line. I spent some time on this. I think it's the 3M line. Moose, Marco, and Matt. 3M was a big company, kind of East Side, a little St. Paul vibe. People used to have careers at 3M, probably still do, Post-it notes in their Yeah, maybe it's the Post-it note line, the 3M line. There was lots of questions about that after the game. Like, hey, Moose, do you want to stay on this line? He's like, absolutely. I've never seen so many minutes in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I like the 3M line. Heinz has got he knows when to hit at blackjack table right now. And I think he had Vinny and Hartman together on one of the goals that they kind of mixed and matched a little bit. So he's got a great feel.
Yeah, no doubt. I like the 3M line. 3M's kind of known for that adhesive. That's
right.
That's the Post-it note adhesive. And this line might be the glue that gets everything back together. The 3M line, I'm digging that. That's good.
And how Shooter McGavin doing Let's Play Hockey? I mean,
is he on Mount Rushmore?
Well,
is he on Mount Rushmore?
He's going to be back. He'll be back for playoffs. I resisted the temptation to knock on wood right there, but why wouldn't you? A lot of like arm motion. I don't know. I think wheel them out. I mean, talk to the folks at Unreal and just say, hey, can we have them be here for 2 weeks? Whatever it takes. Let's get some vitamin D on the Let's Play Hockey. He did a great job.
Shooter was good. I think he's Mount Rushmore.
It made a difference.
Let's go through that Mount Rushmore. Who is it? Shawzy's on top still, right? Don't you think?
Yep. And then you got, because Shawzy was a surprise, and he had the Tiny Tim element. He was like on one crutch, tipped over in my memory bank, even if that's not true. PJ Fleck would be on there. And I think Hawkinson maybe shotgunned a beer. I don't know, or somewhere during the game. I got those guys in there for sure.
Yeah, Shooter, PJ Fleck, those guys.
Yeah. There haven't been enough. We still haven't done it. I want my chest hair to be lit on fire by you. Bring one of those little things you light the grill with. I think we could go wild on 7th. We could get them through a game. We could get 1 mile from our pod.
Does the chest hair start on the chest and crawl over the shoulders? Like, is it going to be like we're going to light the sweater on fire for this, or how?
I've only done it twice. The first time you were there both times, I believe. The first time it went. It was like a brush fire. Yeah, it was. You'd have to have a charity game afterwards. The second time we couldn't really get it going. I don't know if I had cologne on there, or maybe some Duke Cannon stuck in there, but we struggled to get it started, as I was told later. But hey, just a couple more bouquets. Zuki on the 4-on-3. I think we've given Zuki, so he's been a leader down the stretch. He takes his medicine in the hard times, and he delivers in the good times. Freddie Gaudreau, 78 games played. Brock Faber, 74 games played. Bogo, 77. So in a year where bricks and stones have been thrown at these guys, they've given everything they have. And I hope the fan base does the same as we push down the stretch.
I think you can see that in Faber, that he's given everything he has. Like, he's kind of like, all right. But I think he's learning how to be a leader through all this too. Like, times were tough right there, and you need to win games, and you can't just flip a switch and have it. But he's answering the bell with the media too. He's saying all the right things. And you're right. He took a jab at everybody, saying everybody but the people in this locker room are negative right now. And I took that. I was like, that's not true. But he's saying all the right things, doing all the right things. And I think we've talked about that too, how he went from being a college kid to like the face, or one of the faces of the Minnesota Wild, and the pressure that must come with that. He's learning how to handle that, and he's learning how to like manage those tough conversations with media too. I think he's done a great job over the last week with that kind of thing, and it's only going to help him down the road. Like he's growing up before our eyes, and he's growing up fast.
And the kid's a tough son of a bitch. I mean, Brock Faber is a tough kid. He did 4 Nations. That interview, by the way, so what I watched, whenever we have a big win, I'll pull out the Wild app and watch the post-game interviews. So I quite enjoyed watching all of the comments after the Dallas game. But I went back and watched the Faber interview because the reporter had called him defiant in the headline of the story. And I'm like, what? And as an NHLer, by the way, I would just be curious. So if you watch that interview, Karts, they're in the fetal position. It's like the lowest point of the season. They've been giving everything. They've been at the blood bank all year trying to get into the playoffs. And you just get asked the same question like 7 times in a row with a microphone in your face. Like, yeah, but do you think you'll be able to figure it out? And then he'll answer it. But what if you don't figure it out? Then he'll answer it. Yeah, but what if you don't figure it out? I mean, the composure to not just like lose your mind. And what a difference 48 hours makes, you look at those interviews after the Islander game, and then you look at the Dallas interview, and Gus is holding his baby, talking about stuff, and Hines is happy, and Moose is, pulling out his 3M business card. It was crazy. So I thought Brock handled that well. There was a little bit of us against the world, which I don't think hurts as you're trying to push through. And his points were valid. We've given everything. We've given our bodies. We've been here all night. There's been no breaks. We're doing everything we can. And it's not like we're not trying. So I don't know. I respected it.
Again, these guys have given everything and their bodies. If we're going to refuel them with, some good proteins, maybe the fly that keeps buzzing your tower right there, where should we tell these guys to go to get some high quality grub?
Yeah, is it a good look to have a fly in the studio? We should name it. I would go get some Cub Pub burgers. It's going to be nice on Friday. It was really nice yesterday, and I think I would just go grab some. They got some cheese in there, some jalapeno. Do that first grill. You might have to clean it out a little bit. Get maybe some brioche buns or some King's Hawaiian. Fire up the grill. Get some coleslaw and do it right at Cub. Local brand. We love Cub, and Cub loves us. If you were going to construct the perfect week in Augusta and a San Jose game, who would you entrust to do the work?
I would entrust our boys at Wow Construction, my man. That's who I would entrust. I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what this means, but they're GAF certified. They just won the GAF award, and that is prestigious when it comes to roofing. It means they do it right, and everybody notices. That's how you get the crystal. That's what they just got. They picked it up in Vegas, but we're entering that time of year where snow has melted, your roof is open, get outside. It can take up to 12 months for the damage from a storm to show up. Again, always check their website. They have the resources that you need to see if you're within an area that had a storm, when that storm was, if you're within the time frame. They'll get on the roof, check it out, and get you taken care of. So Wild Construction, they make it happen. GAF Master Elite Roofers. Let's go, buddy.
Great work. Can I give you some of the messaging after the Dallas game? Because you were probably on a plane. There was really good language in the interview, so I was just writing down what I heard. They talked about being in the driver's seat. I think Marcus said being the aggressor in the game, so dictating. Gus said it's all about looking forward, not looking backwards. And Hines' message was all about consistency. So it seems like Hines thinks that the team has a way to play, but they don't always play that way for 60 minutes, and that was a true 60-minute output he was very happy about. But I love that idea of the aggressor. I think when you're trying to survive, you're treading water with a 45-pound sewer cap in your arms. That's very different than being like, let's go beat Dallas. Let's just bring the game to them. We outshot them, and we brought the game to them. And we did it not with a full roster, but I love that. I think that's the mentality. I hope they watch their own interviews, because let's go bring the game to San Jose, bring it to Calgary, Vancouver, Anaheim. Let's dictate terms. And that was a big difference, I thought, yesterday.
I think you're absolutely right. And what it looked like to me is a team that for a little bit was maybe playing not to lose, like playing cautious. They're in these 1-1 games, and even in overtime, they weren't like dictating the game. And all of a sudden against Dallas, it was like, you know what, like everybody else is winning. We can't like prevent defense our way into the playoffs right now. We got to go get it. We got to take it. And it looked like to a man, everybody changed. Like they won puck battles, they won races, they won physical plays. Yeah, and you're right. I was doing some math during that game or looking up some stats. They got to 40 shots, maybe even north of 40 shots. And they hadn't done that it was like 30. They'd only gotten to 30 shots like twice in the last 4 weeks. And then they hadn't got to 40 shots since November. And it was like something entirely changed. And good for them, man. They needed it. They needed that to happen. I think it was good for morale. But also it's like a confidence boost too, because it's and Marcus was saying, it's like, we're a good team, like we are. And they had just been playing a style that maybe wasn't their best. And all of a sudden, and I think, again, he's been a lightning rod with leadership, the style of play. I think if he doesn't come back into the lineup when he did, we might be having a different conversation right now. That dude deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, he was like, I'm so tired of meetings and speeches. Yeah, he was kind of losing his voice. And when we see Marcus Foligno throwing helmets and playing that power forward game, kind of a game we don't see since the 75-year patch back in the day. It's just awesome to see a true power forward. I wonder if Hines learned a little bit from the Four Nations. We talked about this, Karts, right? Boldy likes to have a bully on his line. He liked having JT Miller on his line. He was on a lot of these, and it's not that Matt needs to be dragged into the fight, because he doesn't, but like, having a guy like that, you're absolutely right. He's 2 inches taller, and it changes the energy of that whole line. For Rossi, too.
I think I talked about that a little bit on one of the broadcasts where it was like, you have Brady Tkachuk in the Four Nations, and you saw what he did and how it changed, like, everything, the way the team played, like the mentality. I think maybe he realized, like, I have a Brady Tkachuk in Marcus Foligno, and I think he used them like he uses Brady Tkachuk, or they did at the Four Nations. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's probably a good thing. I do have to admit, though, I jumped into the chat section of some of these like wild adjacent spots, which I don't normally do. Were you jumping into any of the comments? You can't do it. By the way, I couldn't help myself, but it was something to behold.
The darkness in this state, we got to change it, it's a lot of it's reporting. Billy Guerin left the room with red eyes and was doing this and that and defiant. And I don't know. I just think, like, if I watch a team, we watch every game, Karts. I'll tell you if they're not trying. I'll tell you if, like, these guys are spilling the beans. They're gutting themselves. It's been hard. A lot of missing pieces. Gus has been unbelievable. And so I don't know. I think let's not do that. I heard a lot of that. Well, maybe we should just miss the playoffs. Maybe that'll be better. Or what if we just lose in the first round? Well, what's that worth? Like, I'm so tired of that crap. Like, let's just believe, and see if we get a little osmosis between the fan base and the team, because we know they're trying. So why don't we try too? I don't know. I'm not into that anymore. Like, it's just too dark.
I think you're right. Even when they weren't winning these games, like the Islander game, it's not that they weren't trying. I think they truly didn't have it that day. But you could go back to the Jersey games and you could say, listen, it's not that they weren't trying. It's actually very hard to try the way that they're trying. So to win a game where you're trying to be perfect, where you're trying not to cost yourself. And I think that it felt like at times that they're trying so hard not to lose that it looked like they weren't trying that hard. But it's actually more challenging to be like, all right, we have to play conservative or in such a fashion that isn't like being the aggressor. And then Sunday, they just decided to say, screw that, let's go. But it's amazing how fast, too, those group chats can change, because I jumped back in it after the game yesterday. And there are. I think the mold is being broken. I have to admit, like, I text you and Huss, and I was like, dude, it feels like this mold might be made of cast iron. Like, are we going to be able to break this mold? I don't really know. Like, Like there's deep rooted pain in Minnesota sports fans, and I don't know, but the sun came up the next day. They won the game against Dallas, and the comment section was shiny. It was enjoyable to be back in there.
The sun will come up somewhere on the east side of sorrow. You just got to look for it. No, I agree. But I think it's there. You know, you got Vikings fans worried that Aaron Rodgers is going to come in and do emotional terrorism to the fan base. Twins are off to a slow start. Royce Lewis hurts his hamstring. Carell and Eck, when are they going to come back, right? You have it all over this town. And I think you just got to, let's just swallow the chew spit. Let's just get that out of our system. Let's just be better.
Hey, let's talk about this too. So let's do the Bosch Line injury report right now. We've got Middleton on it, but it sounds like we're getting really close to Kirill and Eriksson Ek, and they've been skating. Good news in New York, and everything's going the right direction. I think that's terrific. But how about Kirill? Did you see Kirill's video to Alex Ovechkin?
Awesome.
Is that the greatest video that you've ever seen?
Maybe the most Kirill video ever. I mean, I think they did the intro twice in the same video. I mean, you just got to like this guy. My dream, I want to see a tweet probably from Russo on Wednesday that he's in the lineup. And I want to go up to Moscow on the Hill pregame, get a martini, get some Russian food, bomb down the hill, and I want to hear that sound when he takes his first shift. He had it the 3 games he came back. I was at the game when he came back, and that first shift when he just turns or something, and you can literally hear an audible gasp of the boy is back in town. I'm hoping that happens against San Jose. I don't know what the timeline is, but I would like that. That seems like a good game to have those guys come back, by the way.
Yeah, I'll be curious how they handle this. So let's say Kirill could come back, and let's say he could come back as early as Wednesday's game against San Jose. Then does he play one game, one of the 2 back-to-back? I can't see him playing both games back-to-back with travel, Calgary, Vancouver. So does he get 2-3 games? Same with Ecker. I don't know where they're at with that, but I think Ecker's max is probably 2 games before the regular season ends, maybe 1. And it sounds like they're cautious with him, maybe 0. They're hopeful that he'll play by the end of the year. But I watched yesterday's game with a modest hockey fan, and he was like, "How can you tell? When you're watching a rush, can you tell when something's about to happen, when they're about to maybe get a scoring chance?" And I think what you're talking about is that sound that you hear in the building when Kirill gets the puck, he turns up the ice, everybody kind of gets quiet, they sit up a little bit and go. And I was like, you can kind of tell when they have numbers and stuff, but some guys just have it, and Kirill's one of those guys that just has it. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I want to be in the building when he comes back. It's a big deal, and to hear that, I hope that's the case. I feel like that San Jose game is a perfect game to roll those guys out, or one of them. And then I think that Calgary game's got Marcus Foligno's name all over it. You know, that's a foxhole game. That is a kick somebody down the stairs game. And, you know, I'm just looking right into Marcus's eyes in the west coast of Canada and saying, I think you already know what needs to be done. And then you figure out how you spot them the rest of the way, those guys, if they can come back. I don't know if they're coming back before the end of the regular season, but it feels like San Jose would be a great get your feet wet and then maybe lean on some hard chain guys in that Calgary game. That
Calgary game is how good is that game? That's going to be must-see TV, right?
It's going to be violent.
Now, yeah, as we record this, I think Minnesota's up 5 points with Calgary having 2 games in hand. So if they happen to win those games, it's 6 points with 2 points in hand, or
2 games in hand, and then 8 on Van. And what I want to see is, if you look in the standings on the NHL app, which is that's my personal chat room, I want to see a little square with an E next to Vancouver and Calgary, and that I need those guys to go away so we can focus on the second season. But we got work to do to get there.
Yeah, no question. All right, what else should we pivot to here before
Well, let's look ahead. So we got San Jose Wednesday. We got the back-to-back Cal Van, two teams that are chasing us. Then you got the Anaheim game next Tuesday. We actually end the regular season earlier than a lot of teams. Looks like the playoffs start around Easter weekend, but there's a little bit of, I would call it, health bomb time in here. We got a couple days before San Jose after a tough week, and should we be successful the rest of the way, we're going to have a few days at the end of the season to get our minds right before the next battle. Do you want to talk Ovi breaking the record? I mean, where were you when it happened?
I want to talk Ovi. So when he scored the 2 goals, we were calling the game on Long Island, and everybody was getting excited because they were playing the Islanders next. And were you watching that game? So Ovi said to his coach, "No, I don't want to break the record with an empty net."
Yep.
So that Leonard scores his first NHL goal with the empty net, and then they put the goaltender back in, and Ovi goes out and gets 2 shots. And one of them almost goes in, like catches right off the shoulder and over. Like, how unreal would that have been? And then how great is it that Wayne Gretzky texts him? Because, and I don't know if you noticed this, but Wayne Gretzky texts him and is like, because I think he's been following him around, making sure he's at all these games. Hey, you're at home. You're celebrating the cup tonight. You've got your boys in town, TJ Oshie, Nicholas Backstrom. Can you just like bury 3 tonight so that we can all go home and break this record? And he almost does. Like, of course that happens to Alex Ovechkin. He gets to nearly 3. That would have been all world. Can you imagine the roof would have been blown off that place in Washington?
Well, my algorithm is filled with Ovi. I must have clicked on too many things. And what a treat this guy is. I remember that highlight video to POD, Boys from the South, I think it was called, or Boom, when he was a rookie. And there's videos of him getting a hole-in-one the first time he golfs, the hot stick when he scores 50. I mean, what a absolute animal this guy is. Just a beauty. Just looks like a party on wheels, bands maker dance. I mean, I'm consuming all of it right now.
Even when he's not trying to be a beauty, he's a beauty. How about he goes up to the presser with Wayne to talk about tying it, and he grabs like a 16-ounce bedwetter Bud Light or something, cracks it, and the PR guy's standing like in front of him trying to hide it a little bit, and he's just like, whatever. Did you notice that too?
Yeah. He hit a Bud Light, and then he got a Coors Light the next day I saw, spreading it around. But, yeah, this is a real old-fashioned hot stove hockey player. And it's also cool that it's the exact same games played, right? So that he broke it the same amount of games Gretzky had.
That's unbelievable.
He's also like, he's got 41 goals. Like, I mean, this guy's not going to stop. This guy might get 1,000 goals. I mean, it's nuts. I don't know what fountain of youth he's drinking from, but pretty special to get a chance to watch him play.
So what do you think when he tied the record, the whole team coming out? Do you think you think that was cool?
I liked it. They, the players talked about it. They were like, I don't know if I should, but they jumped out there. I think it's cool. It looked a little bit like Miracle on Ice, right? They were kind of at center ice jumping like the podium and the blue jumpsuits. And,
that's when he said it, not when he tied it, right? That's when he said it.
Yeah. And then
here's what I thought. So I because that group seems like they're a riot too. I thought when he tied Wayne Gretzky that they all should have just acted like it was nothing. So like he celebrates by himself in the corner. They go by the bench. They maybe don't stand up. He does knuckles, like play coy a little bit. And then when he sets the record, then absolutely go bananas, jump on the ice and have the party. But I suppose when you're around Ovi, you want to party as much as possible. But they got the two with that. What do you think of the celebration? The other thing that I think I love about Alex Ovechkin is that he truly just loves scoring goals, loves it. He didn't have a premeditated celebration. He scored that goal, and he was so full of jubilation that he just decided to do like a 6-foot belly slide, and then his helmet almost fell off at the same time. And it was just organic. It wasn't like premeditated. There wasn't anything else there. It's just like pure joy, man. And it was like, that's why this dude set the record. He loves scoring goals.
Yeah, he looked like I think he did that same belly slide in the fountain after they won the cup. He got sprayed in the face, by the way. Did you see the guy that was going over him? He gets full snow in his face off. He gets friendly fire. It's funny. One of the videos that came into my feed was Don Cherry just ripping him when he was young, because the culture of hockey is always no one's bigger than the game. And he got a lot of crap when he pretended his stick was hot when he scored 60 or whatever it was. And Ovi's always said, like, I'm fine with the volume being at 11. Let's have a good time here. Let's have some personality. Let's have some yellow laces. Let's have a tinted visor. And I think it's great for the game. Too often that personality gets slowly dismantled. Whether you're Trevor Zegras or whoever, the game is designed to take that out of you. And Ovi is the greatest goal scorer of all time, and he never lost his swagger. So I think that's a good message for the Cole Caulfields of the world coming up that still want to act like they just scored their first goal every time they score.
Dude, he's also so marketable too, because like he's the perfect family guy too. Like he's got his kids right there on the ice. Like he scores the goal and goes over to the glass. He pounds on the kids. He's waving, like he's bringing the family with him. His wife had been traveling to all these spots until he set the record. Like how great of a dude. Unbelievable teammate. Like dad first. I think if you look at his titles, it's dad, hockey player, goal scorer, however he wants to do it. But priority one is boom. He's a family dude. I think that's great too. Like the NHL's they hit the lottery when it was like Sid versus Ovi for the last 20 years. That's the absolute lottery.
So good. All the way back to World Juniors. I remember them going head to head in World Juniors. And yeah, that was both those two rookie years kind of around the lockout there. I mean, just outstanding. So congrats to the grade 8 for ending the chase. Good goal call, by the way. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I liked how he goes, the chasing days are over. So that guy's got that thing holstered. He's trying to think about what he's going to say. And I did love the slip and slide.
But I was thinking about that. I think it was who was in net for was it Chicago? Was it Spencer Knight?
It was.
If I'm Spencer Knight and Ovi's got 2, Wayne's in the house, we're in Washington, I think about letting his last shot in just so you can say, imagine you being the goaltender to say, hey, Sid or Ovi set the record on me. That like I would love that flex. I don't know. I know it's not a great thing for a goaltender to get scored on, but like how would you feel if that was you? Like now he gets a flex on Sorokin a little bit here, but if I was Spencer Knight, I'd been like, yeah, oh shoot, just missed that one. Record was scored on me.
Yeah, I don't know. Then you get into the Strahan, Brett Favre sacks, that he let him have the extra sack, but he thanks him. He thanks Sorokin in his speech for letting it in. I was like, that's just awesome. He is a Russian, right? So maybe there was a little wink, wink there.
I want to pivot to another great because these two are kind of connected with the gesture that Ovi had in St. Paul the week prior. But what's our send-off plan for Flower? Like last regular season game might be coming up. There's 2 more at home. Does he get one of those games at home? And how do we send Flower off if this is like his last chance to play a game? Like we don't know how playoffs are going to go or what that's going to look like, but how are we going to send this guy off? Like we need to think about this.
Well, I think the good news about Wild marketing is we're almost like the most southern Canadian province. So rest assured the right people are thinking about how to do that. I think that's a game, if you're going to circle on your calendar, that Anaheim game, even though it seems like a weird one, just for that reason alone, probably worth being in the building to see how they tip the cap to Marc-Andre. But I'm sure that the right people are thinking about that for sure.
Yeah. What would you do? Flowers, bouquets on the ice? I mean, how do you do it? He's one of the greatest of all time. I don't know. It needs to be a special send off, and we need to make it special.
Yeah, I think they will. There's a lot of like historians at the Wild, right? That work in the right areas. I think there'll be some creativity to how they do it. I don't know what I would do, but I think they'll dial that in. They've been so good with him, and he's been so good to us that I think that'll be the game, though. It'll be that Anaheim game, I think. Because
speaking of,
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was jumping in on you right here because I have a nice little segue. Because when it comes to creativity, I think our friends at Jimmy's have got the coleslaw game as creative as it can be right now with a mango slaw. What else should I bring over here to the club if I want to impress them with some Minnesota fare?
Well, it's a jalapeno slaw carts, but that's okay. I mean, one man's mango is another man's jalapeno. Yes, they are.
They have mango slaw. Did they have mango slaw? No.
Pineapple slaw. Pineapple slaw.
Pineapple.
They are first ballot Hall of Famers in the slaw category, just like Marc-Andre. Got your regular, got your 60 calorie, jalapeno coming, pineapple. Don't sleep on the slaw. Carts has got this theory: vitamin D, sunshine equals victory in the playoffs. So even if it's a little gray, fire up that grill, get the different textures, the cold, the hot, the crispy, the crunchy, and get some Jimmy's. Gimme some Jimmy's. And for you, if you were crying at Marc-Andre Flowers' last game and you had some water dripping out of your cheek, what kind of water would you want it to be?
I'd want it to be super smooth and soft. Those tears tend to be a little salty, but I can't cry enough to soften the water at home. I would need a water softener, and thank goodness our friends at Aquarius Home Services can take care of that. And if you're like me and you have all kinds of water problems, I've got the hard water, iron, you name it. They've got a system for you. I've got the Kinetico K5 right at the faucet there, the reverse osmosis, that's for drinking. But if you want spotless dishes, softer hair, use less soap, Kinger. That's one of the things too. Aquarius Home Services, they've always got a deal on it. Make sure you swing by their open house early May because that's when they've got the best deals going on. Aquarius Home Services, earning the right to meet, recommended.
Awesome. Hey, they gave the Hard Trophy to the fourth line yesterday. Brazer had 6 hits. I thought that was interesting as we try to figure out what we picked up with this guy. You think that's his game? 6 hits, big body. I know he had 11 goals before he came over from Boston, but you think what Billy wants him to be is a board rattler? You think? I mean, I thought it was interesting. 6 hits yesterday. That kind of jumped out on the box score for me from Brazer.
Hey, listen, I heard about this guy, and I didn't realize how big he was. He has like a size 16 shoe. And when he first came to the Wild, everybody plays soccer when they warm up. Yeah. He couldn't play soccer because they didn't have a pair of shoes big enough to fit him. So they had to special order shoes to be able to get him something that fits his feet for him to be able to play in the soccer game. Boston didn't send that. So this dude, an absolute monster. And I think when you have a guy like that, yeah, he's got I think what's intriguing about him is he has the ability to make a play too. Like there's probably 4 or 5 times a game where he makes like a good play with the puck, like a nice pass, or he's got a good setup. He's patient with the puck, but he's got the ability and the body to be big too. So I think you look at that fourth line, and there's also like I was talking to a scout, and he had mentioned the fact that the other guy you can't really judge until playoffs roll around is Trenton. Like he's a different guy when the game's on the line and it's big boy hockey. He starts to really shine. So I think you have a line now with Trenton and Brazeau, and if it's Shore in the middle, you have some big guys that can start to affect the way that the other team's going to play. And I think that could be pretty darn exciting. They've had chemistry. I know he had the gaff there in the Ranger game, and that one hurt and stung a little bit, but he moved on, and I think the guy's got confidence too because he continued to play.
Yeah, I hope he's a board rattler, and I agree with. It was funny when we went to Nashville. I went to that game, and they did a tribute video to Trenton at the Nashville game, and it was filled with like playoff highlights. I was like, oh man, this guy, he's got a resume on him when the building's packed and people are Smashville, So yeah, I hope those guys become just assassins in the playoffs and go, because I think it's hard as a big guy in Minnesota. If you don't skate perfect, this fan base kills you. I mean, they're just like, whether it was Johnny Pohl as a freshman at the U or a big player like Trenton or Brazeau, like they just are like, until Andy Ness sort of works them through the paces. I mean, it's just a tough fan base, if you're not doing the Mohawk every 10 seconds.
So with the second season looming, the Wild getting there, I think we got to get ahead of this because we're going to have a live podcast recording at the Mall of America Thursday, April 17th. And the hope is that we're promoting the second season. It's nice because all of a sudden the podcast goes on a different cadence. We'll be with you after each game. We talk about this all the time on the podcast, that each game is a season. There's so much that goes on, so much to unpack. So this will be like the playoff primer. So, and it's actually, the Wild are in a super weird spot when it comes to the regular season because they finish on the 15th. The NHL regular season ends on the 17th. And I think it's maybe even 17th or 18th that Calgary plays LA in their final game because that one was postponed because of the wildfires in LA. So it's possible the Wild might have to wait until truly the 11th hour to figure out where they're going to be in the playoffs. But we'll be there on April 17th to wrap it all up. Mall of America at 5:30.
Yeah, and we got to talk a little bit about the the playoff. There's some rules for playoff games that we're going to have to remind people of.
Well, it's the 8:40 start, so we know what one of those rules, but we'll have to talk about that.
If you're under 12 years old, I don't want you to see you at Excel. I don't care what the brass says. This is bring your dad, bring your brother, bring your mother. There's no children, and God forbid you do the wave. If I see a wave at a playoff game, I'm out. I'm just walking down to Zamboni's and watching the rest on TV.
And we want Shooter doing Let's Play Hockey game one,
every game. Wind them up. Why wouldn't you? I mean, it's awesome. So, no, I hope that the last four games, I live for this. Like the playoffs is just different, and it is a season and a game. And I think if you've been paying attention to this team, there's a lot of guys you should really like. We got a good room. They've given a lot, so let's get to the point of the season where it really matters.
I couldn't agree more, and that's why it was kind of like getting stressful because I thought they were comfortably in a playoff spot, and that it wasn't going to go sideways. And then all of a sudden, a little doubt started to creep in, and it's the fear of missing out. It's the FOMO because the playoffs are so great. When you have a rooting interest, it's just that much better. So I think these guys deserve. And you think about what they've done all year. I know we've talked about this, but they've had to play above their pay grade. Guys have had to for a long period of time. And the fact that they've still got to go out and jump on the sword for their teammates and defend each other and say, hey, listen, there's negativity everywhere, but in this locker room, I think they truly mean it. So it's going to feel good when we open up that group chat after a couple of playoff wins and start reading the comments in there because maybe a little positive reinforcement that mold is starting to crack a little bit.
God, wouldn't that be great? We can have nice things. That's what I say. We can have nice things. Even in Minnesota.
Okay.
It's okay. We can. So let's do that. And we're here.
Till it's here.
That's good, right? We can end now? You feel like? Did you have anything else?
No, I was good.
Okay, good. Peace.